The INFJ Stare. Seeing the truth behind the eyes. Have you ever noticed an INFJ looking at you in a way that makes you feel like they can see right through you? That penetrating gaze can be unsettling, yet magnetic. But what's really happening behind those eyes? Stay tuned as we uncover the truth about the INFJ Stare, why it happens, and what it reveals about their unique way of seeing the world. 1. What is the INFJ Stare? 1. The INFJ Stare is one of the most talked about aspects of this rare personality type. 1. It's often described as an intense, almost piercing look that makes people feel like they're being seen on a deeper level. 1. While this stare can make others feel vulnerable or exposed, it's not meant to be threatening or judgmental. 1. Instead, it's a reflection of the INFJ's highly intuitive and empathetic nature. INFJs are natural observers, and they don't just see what's on the surface. They notice the subtle cues, the hidden emotions, and the things left unsaid. Their gaze reflects this deep level of awareness and their desire to understand others on a soul-deep level. 2. The power of INFJ intuition. At the core of the INFJ Stare is their dominant cognitive function, introverted intuition. INFJs are known for their ability to sense underlying patterns, motivations, and emotions, often without needing explicit information. This means that when an INFJ looks at you, they aren't just seeing your words or actions. They're also picking up on the energy, emotions, and intentions behind them. This intuitive power gives the INFJ Stare its intensity. They're constantly processing and analyzing information on a deep level, and their eyes reflect this inner world. It's not just a blank gaze. They're deeply engaged in the act of perceiving the truth that others may not even realize they're revealing. 3. Why the INFJ Stare can be unsettling. For those who are on the receiving end of the INFJ Stare, it can feel unnerving. This isn't because INFJs are trying to intimidate or unnerve you. It's because their intuitive insights can often hit a little too close to home. People may feel like their defenses are being stripped away, and their true selves are being seen, which can be uncomfortable for those who are used to hiding parts of themselves. INFJs don't do this intentionally to make others feel exposed. Rather, it's a natural result of their empathy and intuition. They seek truth and authenticity in their relationships, and their gaze reflects their deep desire to connect on a real and meaningful level. 4. The INFJ's desire for depth. INFJs aren't interested in superficial conversations or small talk. They crave depth, meaning, and authenticity in their interactions. The INFJ Stare often comes into play when they are engaged in a conversation or trying to understand someone's emotions. It's a way for them to dive beneath the surface and truly understand what's going on. When an INFJ feels that you're being inauthentic or hiding something, their stare may become even more intense. They're not trying to pry or invade your privacy, but their need for depth and connection drives them to seek out the truth. This can be a double-edged sword for INFJs, as they sometimes uncover more than they expected or realize truths that others are not ready to confront. 5. The emotional insight behind the stare. One of the most fascinating aspects of the INFJ Stare is the emotional insight that accompanies it. INFJs are not only highly intuitive, but they are also deeply empathetic. This means that when they look at you, they're often feeling your emotions as if they were their own. Their ability to mirror and understand your emotional state can be both comforting and overwhelming. This emotional connection is what makes the INFJ Stare so powerful. It's not just about understanding what you're saying, it's about feeling what you're feeling. INFJs can pick up on subtle shifts in mood, body language, and tone of voice, which allows them to see more than what's being presented. 6. How the INFJ Stare impacts relationships. The INFJ Stare can be both a blessing and a curse in relationships. On the one hand, it allows INFJs to connect with others on a deep and meaningful level. They can see through facades and understand the emotional needs of their loved ones, often before those needs are even expressed. This makes them incredibly supportive and compassionate partners. However, the intensity of the INFJ Stare can also create challenges. Some people may feel uncomfortable with the level of emotional and psychological insight that INFJs have. In some cases, people may withdraw or become defensive when they realize how much the INFJ can see about them. This can lead to misunderstandings or emotional distance, especially if the other person isn't ready for such a deep connection. 7. The INFJs struggle with vulnerability. While INFJs are experts at understanding others, they often struggle with being understood themselves. This is where the INFJ stare can take on a new dimension. When an INFJ feels emotionally vulnerable or misunderstood, they may withdraw into themselves, and their gaze can become distant or detached. This is not a sign of disinterest, but rather a defense mechanism to protect their sensitive inner world. The INFJ's struggle with vulnerability often creates a paradox. They crave deep connections but fear being hurt or rejected when they reveal their true selves. This can make their stare even more enigmatic and misunderstood by others, leading to feelings of isolation or loneliness. 8. How to respond to the INFJ stare. If you're ever on the receiving end of the INFJ stare, the best way to respond is with honesty and openness. INFJs appreciate authenticity and are drawn to people who are willing to be vulnerable and real. If you feel uncomfortable or exposed, try to understand that the INFJ isn't judging you. They're trying to understand you. Engaging in a deep, meaningful conversation can help diffuse the intensity of the stare and build a stronger emotional connection. INFJs are not just passive observers. They want to connect with others on a soul-deep level, and their stare is simply a reflection of that desire. The INFJ stare is more than just an intense gaze. It's a window into the soul of one of the most complex and empathetic personality types in the world. Behind those eyes lies a deep well of intuition, empathy, and a genuine desire to understand and connect with others. While the INFJ stare can be unsettling, it's also a powerful tool for building meaningful relationships based on truth and authenticity. So the next time you encounter an INFJ's intense gaze, remember, they're not just looking at you, they're seeing the real you. If you can embrace the depth and insight behind those eyes, you might just find one of the most rewarding and transformative connections of your life.